Good morning. Today we are concluding the 11th round of negotiations with the European Union on the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership. I want to thank very much my EU colleague, Ignacio Garcia Bercero, and his team for joining us here in Miami. I'm very encouraged by the work we did over the past several days. We made good progress toward our goal of building a model trade agreement that unlocks opportunities, that eliminates unnecessary redundancies and red tape, sets high standards, and finally, shows the world that our partnership is as strong as ever. It was very fitting that we conducted this round in Miami, Florida, which is one of the major gateways for U.S. trade in the world. 1/5 of America's exporting companies, some 61,000 firms, are located in Florida, and the vast majority of them, 95%, are small and medium-sized businesses. The 28 countries of the European Union together are already our largest trading partner, but we're aiming in TTIP to agree on new and ambitious commitments that will make this economic relationship even more valuable for our workers, for our consumers, for our agricultural producers, for our industrial firms, and for others. We and our EU partners are working toward an agreement built to help our citizens drive the fullest possible economic benefits of their creativity, their entrepreneurial talent, their hard work, and their skills. TTIP will eliminate not only conventional barriers to trade, such as tariffs, but it will also make significant progress in reducing the impact on transatlantic trade of unnecessary regulatory differences and other non-tariff barriers. And we are committed to achieving these goals, and we are confident that we can, while maintaining high standards of health, consumer safety, and environmental protection that our citizens expect. For this round, the United States and the European Union put forward and began discussing comprehensive new tariff offers, our second tariff offers of the negotiation. U.S. and EU tariff levels are already low by global standards, but each side retains tariffs, some in double digits, that discourage trade or make consumer products or manufacturing inputs more expensive than they need to be. Eliminating tariffs would, of course, be especially beneficial for small and medium-sized businesses. In our new tariff offers, we each identified a larger number of products for which we are prepared to fully eliminate tariffs, moving us closer to the shared goal of substantially increasing the contribution of goods trade to our mutual prosperity. Our tariff negotiators had productive conversations on the tariff offers this week, and that work will continue in the period between this round and the next. We continue to push hard for the goal of complete tariff elimination on products traded across the Atlantic, with tariffs on the overwhelming majority of these goods being eliminated immediately upon entry into force of the agreement. Building on one of the most important developments of our last round in July in Brussels, our teams spent several days this week discussing each other's revised services and investment market access offers. Services account for the large majority of economic output in both of our economies, and so our effort to identify new ways to secure and expand access to each other's markets could be one of the most valuable pieces of an ambitious TTIP outcome. Our teams this week also continued their intensive discussions in the cluster of TTIP regulatory and negotiating groups, where we are seeking to make our regulatory approaches more compatible in ways that will promote trade. This will make it less burdensome to comply with regulations on both sides of the Atlantic and will create benefits for businesses, efficiencies for regulators, all the while assuring high standards of regulatory protection for consumers. The United States put forth proposals before this round both on regulatory coherence and, in another critical negotiating area, technical barriers to trade. During this round, the United States was also pleased to put forward proposals in the areas of customs and trade facilitation and rules of origin, which are critical to making sure that goods can reach consumers across the Atlantic quickly and easily, and that the bulk of benefits of TTIP go to those who create value in our respective economies. These proposals build on and supplement proposals we made ahead of the last round in areas of competition policy and rules of origin. Before the preceding round, the United States also laid down proposals in government procurement, agricultural market access, technical barriers to trade, and small and medium-sized enterprises. All told, the United States has introduced proposals, and in most cases proposed agreement text, in nearly every TTIP negotiating area. This week's round, of course, is the first since the United States concluded the Asia-Pacific Partnership, TPP. The conclusion of the TPP negotiations shows just how dedicated the Obama administration is to the goal of promoting shared prosperity by negotiating the reduction of trade and investment barriers. We look forward to concluding a similarly high-quality agreement with the European Union. We believe that it is important to finish these negotiations during President Obama's presidency. To do that, we'll need to use our time with maximum efficiency. To this end, U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Froman and EU Trade Commissioner Malmstrom met on September 22nd in Washington to review the status of the negotiations, and they agreed on the need to accelerate work in all areas in order to achieve the goal of completing TTIP in 2016. We know that the next 4 months are going to be very important to our hope of completing TTIP during the Obama administration. We in the EU agree that intersessional work will now need to become even more frequent across negotiating areas than it has been, so that we can put ourselves in the best possible position to complete the negotiations in 2016. Our teams have plans to meet in a number of negotiating areas before the next round, which we expect to take place soon after the start of the year. Ambassador Froman and Commissioner Malmstrom have also been meeting regularly between rounds to assess progress and to give us direction, and we anticipate that this intensive, high-level engagement will continue. In closing, I'd like to reiterate what's at stake in these negotiations. We have in TTIP an opportunity to build on the foundation of our second 7-decade partnership to make the transatlantic economic relationship an even stronger driver of U.S. and EU prosperity than it already is. We already trade extensively and invest significantly in each other's economies, but we can make that trade and investment easier, and we can make it more efficient. We also have the opportunity in this negotiation to send a clear message about trade as well as our shared values to the rest of the world. We can demonstrate that trade can flourish alongside strong labor and environmental protections, and that creating opportunity requires no sacrifice of regulatory standards. The United States remains firmly committed to achieving economic and strategic importance of TTIP, and it is committed to doing its part to bring these negotiations to a successful conclusion in 2016. Thank you very much for your attention. Ignacio?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank Dan on behalf of all our team for hosting us in the great city of Miami. This has been a week of very hard work. Both sides roll up their sleeves and engage in intensive negotiations. After this week, we are one step closer towards agreeing on a balanced, high standard, and comprehensive trade agreement that will benefit consumers, small and large businesses, and create new opportunities for workers on both sides of the Atlantic. Of course, still there is a lot of work to be done, but an agreement can be reached if both sides are ready to fully engage in all areas of the negotiations, as we have indeed done in the course of this week. Concretely speaking, during this round, we have made substantial progress on market access for European and American companies. We have exchanged second tariff offers. Both sides are now on a comparable level in terms of tariff line coverage. This is an important step, as our aim is to eliminate the vast majority of tariffs from day one of the entry into force of this agreement. And this will provide an immediate boost for companies trading across the Atlantic, and also for consumers that will benefit from lower prices and more choice. We have discussed thoroughly market access on public procurement, and this will help us to prepare the ground for the exchange of initial offers in February next year. In the area of services, negotiators have continued their exchange of views on the revised offers that were already presented in July. And we have also exchanged proposals on product-specific rules of origin for industrial products. These are key to determine which goods can benefit from the preferences under the agreement. And in developing these rules, our objective is also to achieve more simplicity for our importers and exporters. In the regulatory and rules areas, Commissioner Malmstrom and Ambassador Froman asked the negotiators to intensify their work and intensify negotiations on all those issues. we believe that we have a chance to create a strong partnership on regulatory cooperation between the United States of America and the European Union. This will simplify the life of companies, in particular the small ones, and it will also allow each side to learn from each other in order to use scarce public resources as efficiently as possible. When we carry out our work on regulatory cooperation, we are very much based on two key principles. The first one is that cooperation on regulation is only possible if the level of protection for citizens stays the same or actually improve. This is not only true for TTIP, it is a principle that we apply in all our trade negotiations and has been reaffirmed by Commissioner Malmström in the new trade strategy that was announced last week. Secondly, any form of regulatory cooperation will not change the way we regulate on public policies, such as food safety or data privacy, nor will it affect the legislative processes or the independence of our regulators. What we want to do is to create bridges to help our regulators to work together in order to achieve good results for European and American citizens. Regulatory discussions on sectors were particularly constructive and intensive, and with the view to achieve greater regulatory compatibility in 9 sectors, including, for instance, automobiles, textiles, machine engineering, pharmaceuticals, and others. We have getting closer to a determination of what are the key objectives that we want to achieve in TTIP for each of these sectors. And this is indeed our next target. We expect to define with greater clarity these objectives, the main TTIP deliverables, and how to achieve them over the next very few months. TTIP is also an opportunity for the United States and the European Union to develop a shared vision about how global trade rules should be modernized to catch up with today's reality. Trade is not only about creating economic opportunities, it is also about responsibility. That's why we have tabled our proposal on sustainable development, including labor and environment. And we have also discussed this week trade facilitation, competition, energy and raw materials, and other rules-related issues. A shared and ambitious approach to global trade rules will help us to shape the rules of the 21st century. I was also very pleased to meet on Wednesday the stakeholders to listen to their proposals. We heard again from the small and medium companies that they expect TTIP to simplify procedures and to improve the information which is available to them so that they can fully benefit from the opportunities that TTIP will create. I also fully share the view expressed by many stakeholders, including trade union representatives, who argued very strongly about the special nature of public services. The European Union treats public services in a special way, and we protect them in all our trade agreements. TTIP will be no different. This commitment to the protection of public services is clearly reflected in the joint statement issued by Commissioner Malmström and Ambassador Froman in March of this year. To sum up, there's a strong political will on both sides of the Atlantic to reach a good agreement, as was indeed confirmed during the recent discussions between Commissioner Malmström and Ambassador Froman in September. What this round was about is translating this political will into concrete steps forward, and this is what we achieved in this round: progress and intensification of talks in many areas. I hope very much to keep at this pace to get a good deal for consumers, workers, and companies in the EU. Thank you.